I may have a little bit of a problem, you guys. I have more library loot to show you because I just cannot resist going to my local library, taking out a huge stack of books, and hoping that I get through like 75% of them. But I like to have options. Who doesn't like to have options? So let's look at some of the really good books I got from the library recently. I have in this stack 4 fiction, 2 and 3 nonfiction that I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about the nonfiction first. The first one is How to Be a Heroine, or What I've Learned from Reading Too Much by Samantha Ellis. I first heard about this book on Book Riot. You will notice that's kind of a running theme. They're a pretty big source of my literary discovery. This is a nonfiction kind of literary memoir that Samantha Ellis wrote when she was after talking to friends one night, realizing that she had always been trying to live her life as Kathy from Wuthering Heights, when all along she should have been trying to be Jane Eyre. Hi, Penny. That's Penny. That's my dog. But, and so she really kind of looks back through her life at some of her favorite heroines and kind of what they taught her and what life lessons she's learned from them, good and bad. That's really all I know about it. She mentions the March Sisters, which is the reason I picked up the book because, hello, one of my favorite books of all time. She also talks about people like Sylvia Plath. She talks, let's see, as you can tell, I'm like reading from the back of the book. But basically, this is the kind of book that I love to read. Literary memoirs, reflections on literature, especially ones that kind of go beyond or encompass multiple books or work on a theme like this one does. So I'm really, really excited to read it. I'm really, really glad the hold came in. The next nonfiction one is also one that I heard about from or inside my Book Riot email, and it is Reality Hunger, a Manifesto by David Shields. It's more interesting. It's actually really interesting. Hey, that's right. If you look inside, it's not like it's not like there are like chapters and it's like a cohesive thing. The book is organized in sections, but then with each section there are just like these continuously numbered little mini paragraphs, all of which are a reflection on our current societal conceptions of reality. David Shields realizes that we live in a world where, YouTube and Facebook make us all available to everybody all the time. Reality TV is one of the biggest genres that exists. Every channel carries some kind of reality television show, and it's kind of skewing our view of reality or what reality means. So David Shields set out to kind of rewrite this century's manifesto on things like truth and reality and humanity and all of those things. That's all I know about it. I'm super excited to read it. I'm hoping I kind of breeze through it or at least get through it quickly. Now that I know that it's just such little snippets, I feel like those will be kind of easy to read either in between other things or even just kind of in a big bunch. So fingers crossed. And the last nonfiction book I have because when you have a baby, you read books about babies and baby things. And so I have The Happiest Baby on the Block, the new way to calm crying and help your baby sleep longer. We are incredibly, incredibly blessed that Will is not much of a crier unless he's hungry. But I am all for figuring out kind of sleep habits and sleep patterns and sleep habituations that we can adopt that will help Will to sleep as long as possible. He has just recently started sleeping through the night and I love it. I'm obsessed with it. If we can keep it going for forever, that would be wonderful. I have a feeling that may not happen, but hopefully this book will give me some tips and some tricks to deal with it when it does. So there you go. And moving on to the fiction, I'm actually super, 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 super excited about all of these books because I heard about them all from such good, trustworthy sources. The first is Sabriel by Garth Nix, which is the first in a trilogy because I have a problem and I can't stop starting series books. But I have heard about this from Sana, I heard about it from Lindsay, I heard about it from Sam, I've heard about it from pretty much everybody I watch in terms of the science fiction fantasy kind of booktube community. It's supposed to be absolutely amazing. I don't know anything about what it's about, which is I'm kind of ashamed to say because it's like a big title in young adult like science fiction fantasy. It's actually one that I've heard like mentioned several times and just haven't actually read yet. So I'm excited to crack it open and see what all the really good and I'm sure much deserved fuss is about. The next one I have because of Sam at Novels and Nonsense. She started describing the Imaginarium Geographica, and I thought it sounded absolutely fascinating. The first one is called Here There Be Dragons. Yes, it is another series. It's written by James A. Owen, and it is about a group of boys who get a map to the Imaginarium Geographica, which is kind of a world that exists alongside and parallel to ours, and contains all of the mythical creatures and myths and fantasies that we have in our world. That's where they all come from these people who used to go to this land and then come back and tell the tales of it. I'm super, 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 super excited for this one. I just think it sounds absolutely amazing. I should be able to get through it pretty quickly. As you can see, the text is like decently large, and it's not like the lines are crammed onto a page. Also, I'm pretty sure I just saw a hint of an illustration. Yeah, so apparently there are some illustrated pages. This is now, of course, taking me absolutely forever to get to. There you go. It looks like they might be like chapter starters or chapter illustrations. But either way, I'm really excited. The premise just sounded way too good to pass up. This next one I got because of a group that I'm a part of on Goodreads that's dedicated to reading authors of color, about people of color. And it is A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James. This one is all about the time in, I believe, Jamaica? Yes, right before the general election, right before Bob Marley was supposed to play his huge concert. There were apparently 7 murders that happened, and this is all about those murders, their impact, why they happened. And it's supposed to just be a really insightful tale into Jamaica and Jamaican life and the Jamaican culture. So I'm all about it. Caribbean literature is one that I haven't really read a lot of, despite having taken a class on Caribbean literature in college. So I'm really, really excited to get into this, and I am all for anything that has anything to do with Bob Marley. And lastly, this is one that I heard about from Elizabeth over at Books and Pieces, who's one of my absolute favorite darlings on BookTube. She's an absolutely wonderful booktuber. You have to go check her out. I will, of course, link to her channel below. If you have any interest in science fiction fantasy, she is your go-to girl. She did this absolutely adorable series on like the historical evolution of science fiction and fantasy, where she has costumes and sometimes she sings in her videos, and she's better at this than I will ever be. But anyway, I first heard about this over on her channel. I'm pretty sure. Even if I didn't, you should check her out. But I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. And it's God's War by Cameron Hurley. It is apparently some good sci-fi fantasy about there are magicians and mercenaries and magic in a world crippled by war. And it's supposed to be a really, really good fantasy, not set in like a proto-Arthurian England kind of environment, which, you know, happens all the time as I'm learning more and more the deeper I get into fantasy. So for that reason alone, I'm really excited to pick this one up. And that will pretty much do it for today. Those are all the books I got at on my most recent trip to the library. Stay tuned to future videos to find out what I thought about hopefully most of them, if not all of them. And I will see you guys around the internet. As always, like, comment, or subscribe below. Bye.